Do you think that men maybe unconsciously are seeking for connection and are using porn as a means, although it's the maybe the worst means they can use? Well, what are
Hmm.
your thoughts on that? Or
I think,
maybe to go even
I think,
further, using casual sex as well.
I think some people, especially men, need emotional connection. But I think when they get married, they rely on their wife to kind of steer that, to kind of head that up, how we talk about things. And then many times guys will take the lead. Some guys are really good at it, and they're like, we got to talk. I'm feeling very distant from you. But it's not in their normal lingo or their normal wiring to be like that. But they want a family. And so when they get married, they'll start making efforts in those areas. I think what porn gives them is it's a feel of connection. But anybody who been addicted to porn or used porn understands that empty anxiety that you're left with. You know, after you've done it, most men will tell me, I just feel terrible. Like, I just feel terrible that this is what I've succumbed to. This is who I am now, that I have this.
Yeah,
And they just, when they come in for therapy, they're at a loss, and they are lost. They're totally lost. They no longer know how to connect. They can't be normal because they can't rely on a penis that will be erect. And that's very difficult for men because there's a lot of pressure on men for that. I mean, what are you going to do? But, the first thing we always need to work on is, let's think of what is plan B. If you can't get an erection, then let's talk about plan B, because usually they feel better if they're not just counting on an erection, and then they're going to be totally devastated when they can't get one.
yeah, I can relate to that. And
Um,
you said something a couple of minutes ago that it was along the lines of some of the porn. I don't know if most, but some of the porn addicts that uh, go to you, you said that they were unattractive. Can you please elaborate on that?
they're unattractive in their we all have things that make us attractive, and some of those traits are the way we carry ourselves. A lot of them are, like the way we hold our body, the way we are able to respond, the way we're able to listen, the way we touch someone. When you're addicted to porn, you lose all of those other things. You may look the same. So if you put a lot of your ego into the way your hair is, or the way you dress, or the way your body built, you may still have all of that. But the other traits that offer connection, like the way you lean in when you listen, the way you touch someone, their arm or their shoulder, the way you carry yourself, they've got more of a defeated stance, and they seem very weak and powerless when you're talking with them. They're not you can tell the brain chemistry has changed them.
By the way, brother, if you're deeply struggling with your addiction to adult content, today I want to introduce you to Covenant Eyes, which is the world's best adult content blocker. I love that Covenant Eyes is currently helping millions of men around the globe to quit this addiction. And fortunately for you, I've partnered with Covenant Eyes, and today I want to give you access to it for free. Simply click the first link in the description and use the promo code IMPROVEMENT when signing up to your free trial to Covenant Eyes.
Yeah, everything that you have just said during all the interview, it is exactly the same things that most men leave on the comments of my videos. I feel depressed, I feel anxious, I don't like myself, I'm tired of being a slave to my desires. And personally, as a former porn addict, I just felt horrible all the time. And I just wanted to cover that feeling, ironically, with more porn. And the
Yeah.
spiral just went on and on. And how do you think pornography changes most men's view of women?
Well, I think it sets men up that women are disappointing, that women are hard, that women have unreal expectations, that women aren't willing to work with somebody, that they see a man's faults and they just want to discard them. I think it makes women look like they're more like they're the gatekeeper, yes or no, if you're okay. And I think whenever there's that kind of a power placed on either gender or any gender, it's really dangerous because a lot of women aren't that way. And many times what women do is they internalize the guy not being able to get an erection, especially if he's not honest with it. And a lot of men are not honest because they're so ashamed of it. They don't want to admit it to someone who they think is somebody they could really like and be with. They want to be with that person. It's just that the penis has a mind of its own, and it's under the influence of the same brain chemistry distortion that you're getting when you watch porn.
What can a single man, I don't know if he's 14 or 34 or 40, but let's say that he's single and he wants to have a relationship. I don't know if he wants to have a family, but he has that yearning and longing for connection that I would say 99.9% of humans have.
Well, I think the number one thing is, awareness that it has changed your brain chemistry after only 2 exposures. And we would have to start talking to boys who are 8 years old to make sure we actually could make a dent in helping these porn numbers go down. So let's say you watch porn 3 to 5 years, you are under the influence. You are partly feeding this monster. And you may not be sick of it yet. It might be you feel like you have control over it, but you really don't. The fact that you feel like you have control over it is part of the addiction's ability to lie to you so that you will continue it. Because addictions keep going because people deny them, whether it's a alcohol addiction or a gambling addiction. The only way the addiction can continue is the host denies it, and the guy is the host in this case. So the number one thing is you have to be aware of it, and then you have to get help. I would just start out with my family doctor, ask them for a counselor referral, or just ask them if they have a counselor. Most physicians, PCPs, have a list of counselors they work with, because with counseling, they can help you undo it. You're going to have to surrender your phone or any gadget you have that can get you on any of the social media sites and pornography.
I have a question.
Pornography is everywhere. Pornography magazines, though, does not have the same effect on your brain chemistry as pornography on the internet.
Brother, today I want to give you 2 free gifts. First is my free video on the top 10 tips to quit adult content, and the second are my free affirmations that will teach you how to be more disciplined with less effort. You can get access to both of these free gifts with the link in the description. Enjoy, brother.
When you say counseling, you're referring to therapy? It's that the
therapy? Yeah, okay. Yeah, like a psychologist.
Okay. But what if the guy doesn't have money, or at least doesn't have the amount of money to afford a frequent visits to a therapist?
Then your best bet is a support group. And there's support groups in most cities, I think in Latin America too. And it doesn't have to be a porn support. It can be any addiction support group. So sometimes, like, I speak at some of the addictions groups, and there's alcoholics in there, there's drug addicts, there's porn addicts, there's sex addicts, there's all sorts of different addictions, and they're all in there together because the mechanism that the brain chemistry changes to is the same. It's the same for, we know that having an affair is an addiction now. It has a 4-part addictive pattern, and it's the same as alcohol. It's the same as porn. Except the one with porn is so potent because it is available 24/7.
Everywhere.
It's like alcohol that way. You are always with it, and food. That's what makes it very difficult to get over.
And from your experience from working with men, has porn impacted other areas of their lives apart from their relationships, their dating experiences? Has porn impacted, let's say, their work, their relationships with friends, maybe hobbies? What are your thoughts?
Oh yeah, it's just exactly as you would imagine. Once you love something that much and you're so terrified of not having it, it becomes the primary value. And so everything else takes second. It really messes with relationships with kids and with coworkers. Like you might get together with them for a while, but there's a whole part of your life you're an imposter and you feel terrible about it. And you're just not vulnerable. You're not able to share. You basically try to come across as just, not just, you won't talk about those things. So nobody can get real close to you. It's almost as if you have a fear of intimacy. It's not that you have a fear of intimacy, but you're addicted. But more, I think the way you're judged behind your back is that people say, God, that guy is so terrified of intimacy. So people will assume you've been abused or you've had relationship trouble. And if you look good, many times they'll say, well, maybe they prefer same sex, or, they will judge people. They notice them. Like, I think when I'm around female friends, they notice guys who are addicted to porn, but very rarely is that the reason. They usually will say something like they're terrified of intimacy, or I think they've been abused, they look sort of like that. Their appearance, the way they hold themselves, is sort of like that.
What's your advice for the single guy who wants a girlfriend, but he's addicted to porn?
Well, most of the guys that I've met in my counseling, so it's kind of anecdotal, but I will talk about those. They usually will come in when they have a girlfriend they really like. Mm-hmm. And then they'll say, Mary Jo, she doesn't know, but she does know I have an erection problem. And I will say to them, what have you told her? And they said that usually they tell her that they're stressed, or they have job issues, or they're freaking out about their finances or something like that. What I do is I say, you have to get her to come to a session, and we're going to have to be honest with her. We're going to have to tell her you have a porn addiction. They really fret about that because they're afraid if she knows, she'll leave them. And I'm like, you know what? It's a risk you're going to have to take. You can't hide it. Then it's another thing you're hiding, another person you're hiding this from. And if you and I are going to work to help you get past this, it all starts with you being honest.
What advice do you have for the men who know they have a problem, but they are not completely convinced that porn is that big of a deal?
Well, I think for those guys, especially if they're married, because I have a lot of guys that are married and their wives know they watch porn, but they're like, well, I'd rather have him home and safe. And he kind of does it when he's stressed out. I don't think they have any idea, honestly, Fernando, that he's doing it all the time. And those guys are like silent alcoholics. They will probably continue in their marriage. Now, if she were to get wind of it and really, like say, I'm out of this marriage, I'm going to leave you. If it started interfering with his ability to work and be someone substantial for the relationship, then I think she would maybe say something. But if he's continuing to work and everything else seems okay with them, there's a lot of people who get married that don't put a lot of effort into their marriage. And so that's a perfect setup for someone to be a porn addict.
What can men do right now, if they're single, to have healthy relationships, but maybe taking away the porn component? Let's say that they have already with their addiction. How can they have healthy relationships with women?
Well, I think the number one thing guys need to understand is to have a healthy relationship, you need to really be fully present. So the better person you are, I have this theory that when you're in a marriage, if you want to make it better, draw a circle around yourself and start working on that person first. And that with dating too. If you're in a relationship and you want to make a big impact with your partner, then you want to talk to them and listen about what matters, what they want in a potential partner. And then you have to do a real soul search and say, what areas am I failing in this? Where could I be better? And if porn is one of your things and you've gotten rid of screens and you've gotten off of social media, you're only going on screens to work, and then you're very self-disciplined, I think every man needs to find purpose in life. And they need to be self-disciplined to achieve that purpose. When a guy is self-disciplined and he's in control of his own emotions and actions, then everybody around him is safe. Everybody around him can be more free to really love him because he's not going to overreact in a violent or outrageous way if he's in control. And he's doing those things like going to the gym and eating healthy and being a good partner as far as listening, checking in with his partner every day. How are you doing? What can I do to help us today? These sorts of things, putting effort into making sure you're doing your part of the emotional lifting in the relationship. These things are all really important if you're going to try to establish a healthy relationship. A lot of guys are still a little bit behind, like they're living with the old images or maybe the old tapes they got from their father and mother about, men's and women's roles, but it doesn't have to be that way. I mean, you create a relationship, healthy or not, with your partner, you're a co-creator. And I'm really inspired because the dads I see now, the young dads that are having first-time babies, they're so much more involved than the generation before. Those dads want to change diapers. Those dads want to get up at night. Those dads want to hold their baby on their bare chest. They want that baby to know them. And that was not how it was in the past. So I'm really optimistic that we can help men be better. No guy deserves to have a porn addiction. It was created for men because of the way they knew what would entice testosterone. They just looked at what testosterone does to a man, and it's almost as if the porn industry created that. And they did. And men were gullible and they got on it.
Sadly,
they were seduced. They were seduced into it. And once you're seduced into it, you don't have a choice. Like you're just going through the motions until you say, now I've had enough. This is not part of my character. I am a better man than this, and I'm getting off this crap.
What's your best advice for men who want to be more attractive and to attract, let's say, more and better women for them?
Well, what I think is important is I think it's important that the guy really likes himself and that he wants a relationship. He doesn't just want to dabble. A man with a plan is so attractive. There is nothing like that. A man that really has a plan and he is self-disciplined. He gets up in the morning while everybody else is sleeping to work out because that's the only time he can do it. He packs his lunch. He's financially, fiscally responsible. This is a man that's going to be a good boyfriend, a good husband, and a good father. And that's how women think. And I didn't even really want kids, but that is inside my head. Like when I met my husband, I didn't even think about being a boyfriend. I'm like, this guy is going to be a really good husband and dad. You can see it on them. Probably the same way you guys look at women and go, wow, you could tell her measurements and everything else about her. It's just crazy. Like we just know.
Yeah, we get to conclusions on that aspect, let's say, completely unconsciously. We don't.
Yes.
As one of my favorite YouTubers says, attraction is not a choice. It's there or it's not.
That's right. It's in your brain. It's wired in. And that's the one part that I really trust. There's been studies, and the partner you choose to marry, this is so bizarre. The first time is within 5 points of your IQ on the Wechsler IQ test.
Yeah, I can completely relate to that.
That's not true of second or third marriages, but the first one you choose, it's like your brain knows who's going to help you deal with your unresolved family issues.
Yeah,
with whichever was it, mom, the dad, you just know. And that's when people go, I just knew I was going to marry this guy. That happened to me at the age of 20, and I'm still married to him.
Congratulations.
Well, and what's really weird, thank you, Fernando, I wasn't really like sexually attracted to him, but I was so attracted to who I knew he would be. And I can't say anything. That was really it. I grew more sexually attracted to him as I got to know him more and more. And I still do. Like it hasn't gone away. I still see things in him and I go, oh my God, he is unbelievable.
In your opinion, how important is family?
I think it's everything. And I think marriage is still the most incredible sacrament there is. I think the married lifestyle is across the board. I'm involved in all these marriage studies. I think across the board, it is still the healthiest lifestyle for all of us that get married and put effort into it. And people go, but what about a bad marriage? Hey, you helped create that bad marriage. Bad marriages don't just happen, and changing partners is not the answer. So many couples, they think, well, if this doesn't work out, we'll get divorced. If you're going to get married and create a healthy marriage, then divorce cannot be part of your language. You're just not going to go there. And you grow together and shit happens or stuff happens. You have to rise above it. The relationship has to be stronger than whatever comes in the middle of it.
Yep, I completely agree. Well, Mary Jo, where can people find you?
They can find me. I have a YouTube channel. It's Mary Jo Rapini and YouTube. I have a website, maryjorapini.com, and I'm on Instagram and Facebook, and my handle is @MaryJoRapini.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I'll leave the links in the description. And thank you so much for talking with me today. And
thank you.
I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, Fernando. I've really enjoyed our time together.
I hope you've enjoyed this exclusive interview. And remember that you can get your free access to Covenant Eyes and your 2 free gifts by simply clicking the links in the description of this video.